I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland.
The president mistakenly called Greenland Iceland. His speech is slurred. He's got bruises on his hands. Are you at all worried about the president's health or his decline at all?
The world watched in horror as Donald Trump gave a speech about Greenland while repeatedly calling it Iceland. But when asked about it, MAGA Mike Johnson decided to, well, throw a temper tantrum.
Is this a serious question?
As you well know by now, Trump spoke at the World Economic Forum and in the middle of talking about Greenland and NATO, repeatedly referred to Iceland, mixing them up in a way that, would be kind of funny if it weren't tied to international diplomacy and threats against allies. Not to mention, let's just go ahead and add this to the never-ending list of imagine this was Biden.
Doing it, I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right, last time. A very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being.
TW, how do we explain this?
That's Donald Trump. That's the reason he got 77 million votes and was twice elected.
So if Joe Biden were to have done that and mistaken Greenland for Iceland,
Joe Biden
you guys would have been calling
25th
Amendment. You guys would have been calling for his impeachment.
If he did his Trump impression?
If he gave word for word the same speech that Donald Trump gave today,
it would be the most backbone he has shown in front of a large international.
Men in white uniforms would have rushed the stage and put him into a straitjacket
I will tell you
and
this.
put him in a padded room for the rest of the day.
I'm not going to go there with Joe Biden's mental acuity and whatever.
But for real, TW, honestly.
Yeah.
But back in Washington, I guess the feed was a little fuzzy because when Speaker Mike Johnson was asked about it, he decided to snap back at the reporter asking, quote, "Is this a serious question? I cannot even believe that you asked me that."
I think it'd be a reckless decision on their part.
The president mistakenly called Greenland Iceland. His speech is slurred. He's got bruises on his hands. Are you at all worried about the president's health or his decline at all?
Is this a serious question? This president sleeps about 3 hours a night. He outworks everybody in this building by a factor of 2 or 3.
That's right. The speaker of the same political party that, well, you'd find many of their members climbing over each other to get on Fox News to discuss any incident involving Joe Biden misspeaking, suddenly clutching his pearls at the thought of anyone daring to ask whether his precious president should know the difference between the country he's hell-bent on colonizing and a European nation. But Republicans can't openly acknowledge Trump's mistakes, right? Because in doing that, it would invite the next question. If he can't keep Greenland and Iceland straight, should he be threatening to control Greenland?
Mr. President, pull out of NATO if it doesn't help you acquire Greenland. Well, we're going to see. NATO has been dealing with us on Greenland. We need Greenland for national security very badly. If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing in terms of the Golden Dome and all of the other things. We have a lot of investments in military. We have got the strongest military in the world, and it's only getting stronger. And you saw that with Venezuela. You saw that with the attack on Iran, with the knocking out their nuclear capability potentially. So, we're talking to NATO.
There's one thing I heard you say yesterday and today. You were not absolutely sure that the Europeans would come to the rescue of the US if you will be attacked. Let me tell you, they will. And they did in Afghanistan, as you know, for every American who paid the ultimate, for every 2 Americans who paid the ultimate price, there was 1 soldier from another NATO country who did not come back to his family. From the Netherlands, from Denmark, particularly from other countries. So you can be assured, absolutely, if ever the US will be under attack, your allies will be with you. Absolutely, there's an absolute guarantee. I really want to tell you this because it is important. It pains me if you think it is not. And under your leadership, this alliance is stronger than ever.
But at the same time, they also can't convincingly explain it because, well, there's actual footage that exists and the confusion is so obvious. So the move then becomes attack the question itself, not the concern, not the facts. the question.
I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up.
But Johnson then tried to pivot into the standard script when it comes to Trump's health. He sleeps, quote, 3 hours a night, outworks everyone, and has done more than any president in history. Which is a fascinating defense, right? Because in a way, he's admitting that Trump is confused. He's saying, yeah, he's confused because he's not sleeping and keeping his entire staff up to listen to him incoherently rambling. But this wasn't just a gaffe that happened amidst many of his weaves, right? This is involving the very country that countless European leaders had to flock to an emergency meeting to discuss because Trump has been hell-bent on annexing.
European leaders pushing back against President Trump's latest threat on America's closest allies, escalating his demand to acquire Greenland. Trump now warning 8 key NATO allies, including Denmark, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, that they will face tariffs, starting with 10% in February, until a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. Nearly 30 European ambassadors holding an emergency meeting Sunday. Allies now flocking to Greenland's defense.
Alliances endure because they're built on respect and partnership, not pressure. That is why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong.
The French president calling the tariff threats unacceptable. Sweden's prime minister saying we will not let ourselves be blackmailed. Only Denmark and Greenland decide on issues concerning Denmark and Greenland.
And it makes him look like a laughingstock when he can't even identify the difference between that country and another. And it reinforces a view I've long held since I was first asked when arriving in the United States what part of London Scotland is in. European geography isn't exactly the US's strongest point. But then again, these were drunk dudes at a bar that asked me that. This is the President of the United States. But looking at this photo, it could be the former.
First of all, I would like to express how grateful we are in the Kingdom of Denmark, including Greenland, for all the support we have received from all over Europe. It has been extremely important in this very difficult situation that we have been placed in. And I think that when Europe is not divided, when we stand together, and when we are clear and strong, also in our willingness to stand up for ourselves, then the results will show. So I think we have learned something during the last couple of days and weeks. And now we, of course, want to find a solution. So there is one thing that has something to do with NATO. We have asked NATO to be more present in the Arctic region. I think everybody in NATO agrees about that, the Arctic states, but also other member states, that we need a permanent presence from NATO in the Arctic region, including around Greenland. And then we will discuss in a more traditional, political, diplomatic way with the US about our bilateral relationship between the Kingdom of Denmark and US. You're asking about red lines. We have them. Of course, I think it's clear for everybody that we are a sovereign state and we cannot negotiate about that. Because it's a part of the very basic democratic values. But of course we can discuss with the US how we can strengthen our common cooperation on security in the Arctic region.
Prime Minister, will Denmark give any territory in Greenland to the United States, even if it's only for military bases?
We have said from the very beginning that a discussion about our status as a sovereign state, it cannot be discussed, it cannot be changed. We are willing to work together with the US, of course, as we have always done, about security. But our red lines, that are our democratic rules, cannot be discussed.
And MAGA Mike's response, well, it's indicative of the way that Republicans act when Trump is clearly in trouble. They insist that the media is unfair and any questions on the matter are unbelievable.
On the Epstein files, look at that. Just absolutely awful. 38 points below water. But any try to buy Greenland is somehow even more unpopular. Look at this. It's 40 points below water. There is barely an issue out there that's worse for Donald Trump than the Epstein files. But any attempts to buy Greenland or use military force on Greenland, which even polls worse than this, is one of them. It is arguably the most unpopular thing that Donald Trump can try to do is mess with Greenland.
So Greenland is polling worse than the Epstein files.
You got it.
All right. How is the president's approval rating right now compared to other presidents at this term?
Yeah, so the idea might be, hey, Donald Trump sees my approval ratings are low. I might try and raise them. This won't do it. And the truth of the matter is, if we're talking about a year into term number 2, look at this. I've got all the last 6 presidents who went into term number 2, got a year in. And you see this, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Donald Trump is below all of them. The only person who is even lower than Donald Trump when it comes to his net approval rating at this point into term number 2 is Richard Nixon. In any comparison, when you are into term number 2 and an approval rating that you have, if you're anywhere close, as he's the only one lower, that is not a comparison that you want on your dial.
He basically defended the idea that Trump should never be questioned at all. And that's the core problem when it comes to the modern Republican dilemma. They've spent so long protecting Trump from accountability that the lengths they'll go to, humiliating themselves, protecting him, knows no bounds.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.